In a world where water breathes life into every heartbeat, Manila Water stands as a beacon of unwavering purpose. To fortify economies through essential infrastructures, to improve lives and communities. We draw from our expertise. From water treatment to distribution, wastewater management, and sanitation. We embark on groundbreaking projects that create meaningful value. We deliver services at par with the world's best. Relevant and beneficial to the communities we serve. We constantly explore new horizons, pushing boundaries and innovating to deliver a lasting impact. At the heart of our success lies our collaborative relationships, built on trust, transparency, and mutual respect, utilizing our diverse strengths towards a shared vision. We are committed to sustainability, championing water security, climate action, stewardship, and social and governance initiatives. As we expand our reach and impact, Manila Water remains resolute in our mission to be a leader in providing water and environmental services supportive of sustainable development across the Manila East Zone and beyond. Our purpose will always be crystal clear. Manila Water.
Philippine Business for Social Progress, or PBSP, is the country's largest business-led NGO and operates at the nexus of corporate citizenship, sustainable development, and poverty reduction. Established in 1970 by the top 50 business leaders in the country, we remain as a consultant and partner of choice of companies and donors. PBSP grew its membership to 265 members, leading the business sector with programs to develop resilient and self-reliant communities and to help uplift the lives of Filipinos. Through its core programs, PBSP worked closely with the business sector to support their efforts in creating shared value and sustainable development, providing off-the-shelf options for engagement of private companies and their employees. In health, we seek to reduce maternal morbidity and mortality, improve nutrition of children, and achieve universal health coverage among poor families. In education, we help poor and disadvantaged children and youth by providing access to conducive learning environment and quality, basic and tertiary education, along with opportunities for lifelong learning. In environment, we capacitate communities toward the sustainability of our natural resources and their adaptability to the effects of climate change. In livelihood, we seek to improve income and access to livelihood and employment opportunities for poor families. We send a message that everyone should be included and involved in the conversation and action. Kasali ka, kasali ako. We organize platforms for collective impact to foster synergies, scale up innovations, and amplify actions by bringing together national and local governments, development and civil society organizations, academia and businesses to address long-term pervasive issues and implement holistic solutions. For over a decade, PBSP has been the tuberculosis principal recipient of the Global Fund to assist the National TB Control Program of the Department of Health and local governments. In recent years, PBSP has worked with international donors in the implementation of major programs and investments in health system strengthening, education, agriculture, disaster risk reduction and preparedness, climate resilience, and social inclusion. We are Philippine business for social progress, enabling change, empowering communities.
For some people, getting water is as easy as turning on the faucet. But for millions of others, it is a daily struggle that dominates their lives. This is the global water crisis, and it is the most urgent social challenge of our time. I'm Matt Damon, co-founder of Water.org. For more than 30 years, we've made it our mission to empower people in need with sustainable access to safe water and sanitation at home. We can't solve other global challenges without investing in water. Water is the best investment the world can make to empower women, fight climate change, improve health, and end poverty. Right now, millions of people are paying high prices for water from vendors or collecting water from unsafe natural sources. Both options cost families in time, money, opportunities, and health. What if they didn't have to? What if they could get access to the funds needed to give their families a long-term safe water solution at home and a private place to go? They can. Water.org breaks down the financial barriers between people living in poverty and the safe water and toilet they need to survive and thrive. Our solutions are smart, simple, and sustainable. We work with our in-country financial partners to add loans for water and sanitation solutions to their portfolios. These partners then mobilize funds from capital markets to provide affordable loans to people in need of water. People living in poverty use these loans for solutions such as taps, toilets, storage tanks, or piped connections in their homes. Repaid loans create the opportunity for another family to finance the solutions they need fast and affordably. This solution is scalable. It changes more lives, faster, and more efficiently. Millions stand ready to change their families' lives through this proven, powerful approach. And you can make it happen. Now is the time to invest in water. For people, for progress, and for possibility. The future of families around the world depends on it. Join us today at water.org.
Nak, kaya pa?
Okay po. Nak, may pamerienda tayo dun, ha? Mahusay, anak. Nak, ikaw munang bahala dito.
Ako po?
Yung investors, close the deal. I trust you.
When the moment demands it, the only path forward is to choose courage.
Sir,
This is too inefficient. I'm sure there's a better way.
Not just to face what's in front of you, but to transform.
Hi, sir. Nice to meet you. Anna from Glow Business.
It's the decision to grow, to push beyond limits, and to reshape your own potential. It's choosing not just to endure, but to turn challenges into progress. Doubt into determination, and fear into fuel.
Nak?
Kamusta?
Pa, you're supposed to be resting.
Something wrong at the plant?
Kakayanin naman po. I've got a lot of help behind me.
That's good.
Oh, Iho,
Sir,
congratulations.
thank you so much, sir.
Your digital transformation will set us up for years to come.
When the moment arrives, choose to rise above. Choose the courage to transform with Globe Business.
watch the safety briefing on the screen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, telas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hihirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manluluping, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatak putok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihingi, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di maghihingi. Luman ang araw ng warhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
In silent or vibrate mode. Maintain silence while speakers are presenting and the panel session is ongoing. As the room is equipped with sensitive microphones, minimal noise can be easily picked up. Live questions may be asked during the panel discussion. When given the mic, state your name and affiliation, then your short and direct question. This lab will be recorded for documentation purposes. It is also available on our Facebook page at livablecities.ph. For Zoom and Facebook participants, please type in your questions via the chat box or the comment section. Vote for questions you like by clicking on the thumbs up icon. To help us improve our labs, please answer the feedback form. You may request for a certificate of attendance by answering the form. Thank you everyone for joining us for our second Livable Cities Lab of the year. We are excited to have you here as we explore innovative solutions to explore and to ensure equitable water access in the Philippines. To officially kick off today's event, it is my privilege to introduce Mr. Guillermo Belluz, Chairman of the Livable Cities Philippines and Chairman of the Rizalino S. Navarro Policy Center for Competitiveness at the Asian Institute of Management. Please join me in giving him a warm welcome as he shares his opening remarks.
Thank you and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our second Livable Cities Lab for this year. And I think it's about our 60th we've done in this series, and I'll describe that a little later on. But first of all, to our distinguished speakers, guests, participants joining us here on site at the Aboitiz Tech Space and AIM, and to those tuning in via Zoom and Facebook, thank you for being with us here today. This event is made possible through our partnership with the League of Cities of the Philippines, Globe Telecom, and Coca-Cola Philippines. Cities serve as the lifeblood of our nation, where ideas converge, economies thrive, and communities flourish. But even these vital areas aren't immune to critical pressures, particularly when it comes to ensuring one of life's most basic necessities, reliable water access. And just to give you a little bit of context, for the Philippines, we have roughly 150 cities and 1,500 municipalities. And this is where much of our economic activity takes place. And as you can imagine, where water consumption, of course, also takes place. This year's theme, sustainability, enabling cities of the future, underscores our commitment to equipping cities with the tools, knowledge, and partnerships needed to drive resilient and equitable water access. By building their capabilities, Livable Cities Labs empower cities to lead the way forward towards a water-secure future for all Filipinos. The Philippines is an archipelago blessed with abundant water resources. But despite this, millions of people still lack access to clean, safe, and affordable water. In cities, aging infrastructure strains on the growing demand, while rural areas face the dual burden of inadequate systems and climate-driven disruptions. The question isn't just about supply. It's about equity, resilience, and reimagining how we value this vital resource. In an era of climate change and rapid urbanization, water security has become a non-negotiable pillar of sustainable development. Let me add here that it is one of our most basic needs, and it's number 6 on the SDG list, the Sustainable Development Goals. For Philippine localities, addressing this challenge is essential to public health, economic growth, and resilience. It requires multi-sector collaboration, from policy reforms and infrastructure investment to community-driven innovation, to ensure no one is left behind. So our theme today for the Livable Cities Lab is Water for All, ensuring equitable water access. We'll explore the barriers to water security, from infrastructure gaps to climate vulnerabilities, and highlight scalable solutions that are already making an impact. We'll explore how innovative public-private partnerships, community-centered financing models, and responsible corporate leadership can transform water access, creating a more competitive, sustainable, and livable Philippines. We're honored to welcome an exceptional panel of experts today to speak about water from their own respective angles and perspectives. Just briefly to introduce each of them, and I'll give you a more detailed introduction, but we will start with Mr. Arvin Longkop, Portfolio Manager of Water.org, Attorney Juan Lorenzo Tañada, Vice President for Corporate and Regulatory Affairs of Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Aboitiz Philippines, Attorney Joe Costin Herona Celera, Regulatory Affairs Director, East Zone of Manila Water, and Elvin Ivan Uy, Executive Director of Philippine Business for Social Progress. So we have 4 private sector speakers, 2 from NGOs, 1 an international NGO and 1 a Philippine-based NGO, and 2 corporate executives, 1 from Manila Water, 1 from Coca-Cola, to give you their perspectives on water and how they see it and what they're doing, most importantly, what they're doing to secure water supply for all of us in the Philippines. So let me start with our first speaker. I noticed earlier when all the videos started running, there was a bit of a buzz of excitement. But I hate to disappoint you, but we do not have Matt Damon in the room. He was just narrating his video for water.org, the organization that he co-founded many years ago. And well, today they're having their meeting in Kansas, which is their annual strategic plan meeting ongoing in Kansas at the moment. So that's where he is, as far as we know. But to begin our lab, our first speaker, Arvin Longkop, is a portfolio manager for financial institutions at water.org. He's a seasoned development practitioner with over a decade of experience and bridges grassroots initiatives with institutional partnerships to advance inclusive growth. Formerly in government service, he worked with DSWD for, I think he told me, 12 years, ranging from Secretary Dinky Soliman to present-day Secretary Rex Gatchalian, before moving over to water.org, where he channels his expertise into expanding access to safe water and sanitation through innovative financing solutions. Today, he'll share insights on collaborative water resource management and inclusive financing, demonstrating how strategic partnerships can empower communities. Let's all please welcome Arvin Longkop, Portfolio Manager of water.org. Arvin?
Thank you, Sir Bill, and good afternoon. How's your day? Great. So first, I would like to thank and congratulate Livable Cities Philippines for organizing this event, and of course for putting water into the spotlight. As we all know, it's a basic need. So again, we are grateful for inviting us here to talk more about how water.org can provide or is giving impact in terms of water access. So my presentation will cover on collaborative finance or collaborative resource management and inclusive financing, zooming into water.org's experience in financing models on water and sanitation. So, I think it's not presenting. Yeah. All right, this one. So the presentation outline, I'll discuss a bit since I have only 15 minutes on the water and sanitation crisis, who is water.org, what we do, or we call it our solutions, and the impact we have created so far. The global water crisis is multifaceted. I believe all of us here and in Zoom believes on that. Water connects to every aspect of our life, while sanitation provides health, privacy, and safety to all. It's multifaceted. It's a health crisis. It's a woman's crisis, education and children's crisis, an economic one, and of course, climate change. It impacts the environment. Nearly 1 million people die each year from water and waterborne diseases. And water.org focuses also on women because mostly women are affected, especially in most of our areas of operation. So here, nothing else matters until you find water. They always say, or we always hear, we can live days without food, but not without water. Do you agree? Yeah, thanks for affirming that. Unfortunately, 1 in 4 lack access to safe water, or that's about 2.2 billion people worldwide, and 3.5 billion people lacks access to safe sanitation. So these are intertwined, water and sanitation. And this map shows that in the Philippines alone, these are our hotspots in terms of lack of water supply services and lack of access to sanitation services. So some key facts for water: 60 million people lack access to safely managed water. 43 million Filipinos lack access to safely managed sanitation. 3.5 still practices open defecation. To some, they are not familiar what open defecation is. So it's, we call it the bomb. We call it the time bomb, wherein some of our fellows just poop or urinate everywhere, especially in the rural areas. That's why 18 people die daily due to diarrhea and other waterborne diseases, while 20 days per year is lost per household in openly defecating or accessing shared toilets. The Philippines is doing lots of efforts. Actually, over 30 institutions are into water resource management or providing solutions as regards water crisis. And this is also what we do in water.org, wherein we help these institutions, or we do partnerships with these institutions to move forward in solving our water crisis. But who we are. So I'd like to introduce first our organization. We are water.org. Two familiar faces on the screen. The man in green is Gary White, he's an engineer. And the other one, of course, Jason Bourne himself, Matt Damon. So two are known personalities in the water sector that join together to strengthen. So the story of water.org is the story of collaboration itself, as the title of my presentation. Because for 30 years, these two gentlemen work on their ways to improve access of people to water and sanitation. Gary had his fair share of exposure to different problems in terms of water, and that he founded Water Partners International in his previous, it's his first nonprofit organization. And Matt Damon is also, while filming in the Africa, sub-Saharan desert, he found the situation and helped build water for Africa. And then they found out that what they are doing separately could be maximized. That's why in one meeting, they joined together and founded water.org. So that's the story, a collaboration itself. We are operating in 11 countries across 4 continents. And in Southeast Asia, we operate in Cambodia, in Indonesia, and in the Philippines. That's why I'm showing this next slide. The woman in longer hair is Miss Gay Santos. She's our regional director for Southeast Asia. She's supposed to be standing before you, but as Sir Bill has mentioned, she's in Kansas City for our strategic meeting. And Miss Gay, she has 2 visions. One is making access for water and sanitation, and the other one is to be Matt Damon's leading lady. I think everybody wants, or even our partners would always request Matt's presence in our events. So we operate in 11 countries. We've reached 76 million people so far, and it's counting, it's increasing rapidly. And we have 179 active partners. The problem really is, and what we intend to work on is on bridging capital. Water.org believes that the main problem on water is the access of many in terms of capital. Sir Bill has mentioned earlier SDG. And $114 billion is required per year to solve the global water crisis by 2030. And sadly, this is 3 times more than the current annual global investment that we have. In the Philippines alone, we would require 1 trillion so we can solve at least close the gap by 2030 in terms of SDG 6 or access to safe water and sanitation. So here, as I mentioned, water.org is a story of collaboration. If ever you find this in the internet, you can have or you can buy this book. I'm not endorsing, but it's a great story of collaboration between these 2 gentlemen, our co-founders. And of course, the next photo is putting water into the center of the Sustainable Development Goals. Because if we don't have access to water, all other SDGs may not be solved. Actually, I'm asking the organizers to raffle 1 book. I brought 1, the last piece that we have. We're still ordering. So you can have access or you can have a copy of the book perhaps after our presentation. So how we do it? Water.org, here's our smart and scalable solutions. So I'll discuss it one by one. We have Water Credit, Water Connect, Water Equity, Innovation and Global Engagement, and Monitoring and Insights. So water.org believes that access to capital is the most important barrier to overcome in order to solve the global water crisis. Hence, we have this smart and scalable solution. So I'd like to begin with the water credit. So the water credit is our main solution. It's a proven powerful solution and the first to put microfinance institutions to work in the water and sanitation space. So how we do it? So water.org, we are an NGO, as I've mentioned, and we are receiving grants or we are receiving philanthropic funds from our partners to mobilize resources. So we partner with financial institutions who are normally microfinance. We also work with banks, cooperatives, and normally these institutions provide loans for entrepreneurial purposes. Kasi 'di ba yun naman yung pwedeng bumalik, kayang bumalik yung inutang. But we are working with these institutions to build their portfolio on WASH so that because we believe that this is a smarter way to scale our reach. Our financial institutions provide loans, small amounts, so that the clients would receive or will have access to like pipe connections, sanitation facility, put up their sanitation facilities. And we help them to our network of banks and capital markets if ever they also would need financing. So in turn, this will reach people and also small and medium enterprises so that they can scale water credit. So our services is free. So we provide them through the philanthropic funds that I've mentioned. It's free. We help them put up this water and sanitation loan using their own money. Okay, we don't give money for them to loan, but they are using their own money again to put premium to water and sanitation. We also increase access to financing at the systems level, meaning we try to influence the public on policy. That's why we work with governments and to design change. We also work to design strategies for efficient budget deployment and sharing of data-supported knowledge. So we also drive impact and innovation through evidence. So we have this water portal and we share knowledge or figures to our partners so that we can that can help them improve their access and reach. So this is water equity. This helps while we are NGO in water.org, we have this sister company, the Water Equity, which is our social investment arm. Some social impact individuals would invest on water equity, and in turn, water equity would finance institutions so that they can gain or have access to more capital and mobilize more funds to have access to WASH. Okay, so this highlights that we are not just for households, but also for micro, small, and medium enterprises, especially those that are into the WASH. So for example, the water filters, hardwares, and all that are included in the water and sanitation ecosystem. This is our water utility partnership model wherein we help build infrastructure projects, especially those that need financing, so that because one of the problem really is the source. So even if households would be interested, if there's a problem in the water source, then that cannot be addressed. I have limited time, so I'm going through the slides faster, okay? So we are developing water infrastructure through the Water Connect, and it aims to co-finance project preparation, technology pilots, technical expertise, and access to construction and financing investment. So those are our 5 main scalable solutions, and we do it holistically by doing direct impact. That's one, direct impact, we partner with financial institutions, giving them small grants to start up their loans. We do collective impact by partnering with institutions in the water sector. And we do system impact by, again, influencing policy and strategic design. So another innovation that we have is this output-based with blended finance. I'm sure the LGUs are listening, and this is one way that they can take a part with water.org. We've worked with local government units to mobilize finance through a blended approach, wherein we partner with microfinance institutions, partnering with the funds that they have in terms of WASH, and then we combine this so that households can have access. So one main problem that we usually experience, I started working as community organizer, so I've seen the situation in the rural areas and even here in Metro Manila. So the government would, for example, provide the toilet bowl, but you would see it's not used as toilet bowl, rather it's used as a flower vase or a design in the garden. And that's where blended finance comes in, that we only give them finance if the product is finished. If they give them, I mean, the water and sanitation facilities put up. So that's one way that we can ensure that the project won't go to waste, or the finance that we use will go to what we intend to produce. Also, early last year, we started this rainwater harvesting loan initiative, wherein one problem that we are really hearing from our partners is the water source. And in the Philippines, we always experience that, especially there are months when there is abundant rain. And why not take advantage of this God-given, I mean, the nature, no? The nature's gift or God's gift. So we are working with our partners to launch this rainwater harvesting facility. And for those of you who are not aware, there's a law, a decades long law. It's even older than me. That speaks about rainwater collection, and it challenges the local government units to put premium into this initiative. So I hope we can discuss that further during the plenary. And then why rainwater harvesting? Because it has a proven impact on water access. Many countries, India, Malaysia, in our near the Philippines, are already doing this, and it's cost efficient and scalable. It empowers communities. It can be done simpler, it can be done complex. It depends on what the household or the institution would need. And it's strategic fit for sustainable finance. So this is our model in a snapshot. And we are creating innovative, sustainable financial solutions to achieve SDG 6. So for our financial institution partners who might be listening, so this is what water.org does in terms of technical assistance. We usually provide market research, product development, product marketing, capacity building. By the way, this is not a pitch, just a sharing, credit management, monitoring and evaluation, and small grants. And this is our impact in the Philippines. This is data for the Philippines. We have reached 10.6 million people with 2.3 loans disbursed. This is in dollars, and 451 million capital mobilized with our 44 partners nationwide. And mostly our clients, there's a question, is it being repaid? Yes, there's a 97 to 98% repayment, and it's very high. Okay, last few slides are our partners. That's just to showcase them. Our global partners, our partners in the Philippines. And here's a story of how water.org has changed a life of a family. And there's more. So I invite you to access our website. It's water.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Art. Thank you, Arvin. Yeah, a couple of things stick out of my mind here when you said 60 million people do not have access to clean, affordable water. You know, so if 60 million in the Philippines, so it's 50% roughly of our population, and a large percentage also don't have access to toilets. No, so you can just imagine the impact that it's having on health and on the economy and on households. And I like how you closed on the topic of rainwater harvesting. I've seen that personally in India, and it is really very, very effective when managed properly. But unfortunately, as you said, we have a decades-old law which has not been practiced, and yet we receive a lot of rainfall every year, which we just curse the water and let it run off most of the time. Okay, so something I hope that we can discuss that a little more during the open forum and panel discussion. For our next speaker, we are pleased to welcome Attorney Juan Lorenzo Tañada, Vice President for Corporate and Regulatory Affairs at Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Aboitiz, Philippines. He's a seasoned legal executive. He brings 15 years of leadership experience across aviation, telecommunications, and now the beverage industry. He's a former Deputy Commissioner of Customs and ASEAN Customs Chair, and he's adept at navigating complex regulatory landscapes. At Coke, he now drives sustainability initiatives, stakeholder engagement, and crisis management, aligning business strategy with social responsibility. Today, he will share insights on global water stewardship, balancing business and conservation. Let's all please welcome Attorney Jorens Tañada.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. Again, I'm also not Matt Damon, so I mean, it's hard to present when you're in the shadow of someone like that, no? But we'll try our best. So it's a big honor for us. So thank you very much to the Livable Cities Lab for this invitation to present on behalf of Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Aboitiz, Philippines. So personally, as an amateur urbanist myself, I jumped that opportunity when we received the invitation. So, okay, good morning, everyone. Because for us at Coca-Cola, every time of day is a good morning. It must be a sales thing, but even if it's dead of night, under the heat of the afternoon, it's always morning for us. So good morning. We always greet people good morning. As mentioned by Bill, I am Attorney Juan Lorenzo Tañada. I'm Jorens. I take care of corporate and regulatory affairs for the Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Aboitiz Philippines Group. We thank the Livable Cities Philippines team for giving us this opportunity to share our commitment in ensuring water efficiency in our operations. A beverage business is, after all, a water business. And at Coca-Cola, we are doing our part to make sure that we take care of our precious water resources. Allow me to introduce who we are. So as mentioned, we are Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Aboitiz Philippines. I'm sorry, it's a mouthful, but since the change of name, that's what we call ourselves. You can call us CCEAP for short. We're the bottling partner and official distributor of Coca-Cola products in the country. Coca-Cola has called the Philippines home for 113 years. The Philippines was Coca-Cola's first market in Asia to begin local bottling operations. We operate 18 manufacturing sites and almost 70 distribution centers and sales offices combined throughout our 7,641 islands. We have approximately 9,000 associates, and we serve more than 1 million sari-sari stores and over 6,000 key customers. At Coca-Cola, we always say that our business is only as strong as the communities we serve, and our goal is to ensure that we create a lasting, positive impact wherever we operate. So we know we have a huge responsibility to consistently deliver on our sustainability commitments, and water security is an integral part of this. At CCEAP, sustainability is at the core of our operations, and we stay true to this throughout our value chain, all the way from manufacturing to distribution. All of us, approximately 9,000 Coca-Cola associates, consider ourselves water stewards, and we all make sure that we have the best water management practices in place in our operations. So as you can see, water is a priority for us at CCEAP. It is essential to life. It is essential to our beverages and the communities that we serve. we accelerate the actions needed to increase water security where we operate. We are focused on doing exactly this within the walls of our plants, and outside of them, we work closely with the Coca-Cola Foundation to reach more local communities. For CCEAP, our local sustainability framework is anchored on Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Partners, or CCEP's This is Forward Action Plan that sits at the heart of our long-term business strategy. Globally, for CCEP, our water commitment is to increase water security for all by addressing local water challenges and improving watershed health. In 2024, CCEP reported in our This is Forward Progress Report that 109.8% of water used in our beverages was replenished. You might want to know how we can return more than 100%. Happy to answer later. So water flow in our sites. How exactly do we do this in our manufacturing process? So let me tell you this. Our passion for water sustainability is evident in the way we operate. From conducting source water vulnerability assessments to understand and monitor our water sources, to making sure that we improve on our water use in our plants, to ensuring that we have the right people and the right technological investments in our facilities, we definitely have all these stringent systems in place to manage our water use. We have what we call the top 20 water savings initiatives. These include strengthening systems in 3 water-intensive processes, among others. So as mentioned, I'm only a lawyer, I'm not an engineer. So please bear with us as this may sound a little bit technical. So the first example that we'd like to point out is called backwashing. So this is a maintenance procedure that flushes away impurities and accumulated residue from our water tanks. We improve this process through better monitoring of water quality in our tanks, which means we have reduced unnecessary steps for backwashing. Another one involves our returnable glass bottles, or RGBs. If you remember those bottles that we buy from our sari-sari stores, these are still, I'd say they are the backbone of our business. Close to 50% of our SKUs, or sales carrying units, are actually still using RGBs, or returnable glass bottles. But I digress. So we improved our bottle washing process through a smart design feature. We also ensure that our equipment applies optimal water pressure for a more efficient cleaning process. So not too strong, but not too weak either. Like Goldilocks, yung eksakto lang. We have also simplified our clean in place system. This process allows us to use one manufacturing line to produce different beverages. So the line cleaned before switching to another product, for example, for Coke, for 48 hours, has that built-in clean in place system. And then only after that do we switch to Royal. So we improve this process by introducing more effective cleaning and sanitizing agents. This means we're also using less water overall, but definitely not compromising the quality of our manufacturing process. With these small steps, we are making bigger positive changes. It is also vital that we reuse the water recovered from these processes in everyday maintenance tasks, such as cleaning our trucks and cleaning equipment surfaces. With respect to our water use ratio, through our water savings initiatives, we have significantly improved our national water use. To measure the amount of water we use in manufacturing beverages, we keep track of our water use ratio. This is basically the amount of water used per 1 liter of beverage manufactured. We also made even greater investments in water efficiencies. We ensure that we're making the right investments in technology and equipment in our manufacturing plants. We're very proud that our plants are equipped with state-of-the-art wastewater treatment facilities that process used water into a quality that is viable for return to the ecosystem and can support aquatic life. A piece of trivia for you, most of the plants that we have operational in the Philippines actually have, at the end of the wastewater treatment process, have these fish stacks or fish pods where you will see fish such as those. In some of the plants, in fact, they have really beautiful koi that you can see. Maybe one day when you can come over and visit a plant of ours, you'll be able to see some of our koi collection at the plant. No, so the next time you drink your favorite ice cold Coca-Cola product, remember that every single beverage we produce is made only with the strictest and highest standards in mind, with water use efficiency being a top priority. So all of us in this room represent a collective effort, a system working together in a unified mission to protect water now and for the future. At CCEAP, you have our commitment. We will continue our work in protecting the country's water resources, and we will always remain advocates for responsible and sustainable water use. To wrap up, let me show you a glimpse of how we ensure water efficiency as we make and sell the products that you know and love. Can we show a video?
At Coca-Cola, we understand the vital role of water as it is a primary ingredient in our beverages. In the Philippines, our 18 manufacturing plants produce quality beverage products for our consumers every day. We have comprehensive systems in place to ensure efficient and responsible water use in our operations. Our responsible water management is anchored on reduce, reuse, and replenish. For reduce and reuse, our top 20 water savings initiatives include strengthening systems for water-intensive processes, such as backwashing, bottle washing, and clean in place. Recovered water is reused for other applications, such as truck cleaning and cleaning of equipment surfaces. For replenish, we have state-of-the-art wastewater treatment facilities that can treat used water into a quality that can sustain aquatic life. Through the Coca-Cola Foundation Philippines, we provide water to communities through technologies like rainwater harvesting, gravity-fed systems, and hydraulic ram pumps. We partner with organizations to protect and rehabilitate watersheds and springs, enhancing the quality of life in selected communities. We remain steadfast in our commitment to safeguarding our water resources, the lifeblood of our products and operations, and continue to refresh the world and make a difference.
So again, we thank the Livable Cities Lab team for having us. And to everyone here today, we are with you in supporting and enriching the lives of Filipinos today and in the generations to come as we continue to refresh the Philippines and make a difference. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you, Torrance. Great presentation. And well, I can tell you as a consumer, it's good to see how the product is created and maintained. And I will get back to you in the question on that replenishment, the 100% plus replenishment of water, because I think we're all curious to see how that happens. Okay, so for our third speaker, we're going to go from one type of beverage to another type of beverage, and a very basic one at that. For those of you, just by background, I suppose everybody's aware that Metro Manila is divided into an east and west zone for water. Do you know what zone you're in? How many of you are in the east zone? Would you know? Just raise your hands. East zone? East? Okay, so if you're in the east zone, you are our next speaker's customer. If you're in the west zone, you are in another service area. So many years ago, we were all serviced by a single supplier, and in a landmark privatization deal, this got divided into two, the east and west zones. And today we're happy to have Attorney Jo Christine K. Celera for Manila Water's Regulatory Affairs Director for the East Zone. Kay is a lawyer and former Masbate Vice Governor. So she brings a rare public-private expertise to water governance. Her leadership spans the Philippine Water Partnership, AmCham, and ECCP, the European Chamber of Commerce Committees, and she was honored by the Management Association of the Philippines with a special award in the 2023 SGV MAP Next Gen CEO Transformational Leadership Program. I'm a keen follower of Kay on Facebook because she loves to travel, and I always admire her pictures, and I'm a little jealous about where she goes. But what amazes me is that it's like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Kay's got a personal photographer always with her because her pictures are always so fantastic when she's traveling. But on top of that, here she is always. And I bump into Kay very often at business meetings, MAP, MBC, European Chamber, always representing or speaking about issues in water because it's such an important topic for all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, to speak about water access in the Philippines, challenges and pathways to equity, please join me in welcoming Attorney Kay.
Thank you very much, Sir Bill. I'm glad to be back to the Livable Cities Philippines event. I was invited here also before with Manila Water. And around that time, I actually happened to meet the Matt Damon. That's since how long ago that I'm with Manila Water. So good day to everyone. I'm really happy to be here, especially with the community who are very much concerned and are really committed to ensuring water access for all. And so we know how transformative water access can be, as it is not just a basic service, but it's really that particular foundation for sustainable development. So today, the theme, Water for All, Ensuring Equitable Water Access, ask us this important question. How can we bridge the gap between those who already have reliable, clean water and those who are still waiting, walking, or even worrying every day about it? So Manila Water Company, the company where I come from, took on the concession in 1997. So it is a partner of the MWSS, or the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System. And since then, in 1997, it has earnestly worked at the forefront in transforming water infrastructure and services to align with MWSS goals in providing the sustainable and reliable access to clean water that we need. And our reach has continued to grow. We have expanded to the various other areas of the Philippines. We are in Boracay. We are also in Laguna, Clark, Cebu, and Davao. And we've also expanded internationally to other areas in Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and Saudi Arabia. This underscores the company's commitment to also sharing Filipino expertise to the international or global arena. So over the past 27 years, we have consistently provided quality water and environmental solutions tailored to the needs of the communities that we serve. And this commitment is rooted in our very purpose of building better lives and resilient economies through critical infrastructure. As a pioneer in the Philippine water industry, we endeavor to deliver world-class services defined by sustainability. And we remain unwavering in this commitment, even amid increasing environmental challenges. So we know for a fact that we are exposed to a lot of challenges and pressure coming from population growth, urbanization, and climate change. So in Metro Manila, for example, you may not know, but 97% of our water source actually comes from Angat Dam. And this is further exacerbated by extreme weather events like El Nino, which can also actually disrupt the supply. So climate change has further intensified these vulnerabilities. There are prolonged dry spells, erratic rainfall patterns that also threaten both the availability and quality of our water sources. And these challenges have actually resulted in critical moments, thus the need for long-term sustainable strategies. Through collaboration with local government and national agencies, we can implement innovative and integrated solutions to secure water resources while we are ensuring equity and resilience. So this is where we are now. Let me show you the next slide, please. So this is how far we have come. All right. So previously, there was only around 3.1 million people that were served, and a lot of issues were happening, like intermittent supply. There's limited wastewater facility that cater to wastewater services, and there's high system losses. So previously, to about 63% non-revenue water level, we have put it down to 15% at the most. And currently, or as of 2024, it actually was at 13.5%. Just to put a visual to it, the water that was saved from 63% to 13.5%, that's about the size of 300 Olympic-sized swimming pools on a day-to-day basis. So the lower the number, the better it is. It means that's the efficiency in terms of resource that we're able to do. And now we're also able to cover 7.8 million people, and with service availability of about 98.85%, and 24/7 water supply is likewise available. And there are now more wastewater facilities, ensuring the circularity framework wherein we make sure that before wastewater gets back into the bodies of water, it's actually cleaned up first. Okay. So we recognize the escalating challenges posed by growing water demand, expanding populations, climate change, and natural disasters. And to address these issues, we have developed our water security plans, which span on short, medium, and long-term horizons across all our business units. And these plans encompass strategies such as developing new water sources, reducing non-revenue water, as mentioned, and improving our water distribution networks. In 2024, our efforts resulted in securing a 23% raw water buffer. Our target is actually just at 15%. But in 2024, we were able to secure 23%. And this enables us to reliably meet our service obligations to our customers and regulators. So this commitment is realized through a comprehensive and collaborative service improvement plan focused on water security. We have a regulator-approved 4-water system master plan encompassing Angat La Mesa, Antipolo, Laguna Lake, and East water systems, where we are working closely with government agencies and stakeholders to developing new and existing water sources. And as mentioned, part of our water security plans is really on resource efficiency, with the non-revenue water reduction program being at the core of this strategy. So you may ask, what are the things that you do in this particular program? So this would involve leak detection and repair, pipe replacement, meter inspection, and calibration. So we are able to minimize the disruption and inconvenience to our customers by conducting preventive maintenance activities and emergency repairs only at nighttime as much as possible. We also prioritize quickly resolving incidents by coordinating closely with stakeholders such as third-party contractors, national government agencies, local government units, and other entities. So we have reached 13.5% NRW level, and this is a substantial performance indicator because globally, the accepted level as stated by World Bank is actually at 25%. So this achievement underscores our commitment to minimizing water loss and maximizing resource utilization. A 1% reduction in NRW actually is equivalent to about 80,000 customers that are being serviced. So this highlights the tangible impact of our program on expanding our service reach. And in terms of continuous improvement and expansion of our water service distribution network, this also forms our water security strategy. And this involves rehabilitating, replacing, and extending our water lines to ensure a reliable 24/7 water supply for our growing customer base. We implement service accessibility and continuity programs, prioritizing the extension of our network to reach currently unserved areas and also further strengthening water security for all. So those are the numbers. I wouldn't delve into that, but we are able to highly maintain service quality with our rates that are also regulated and approved. So we also offer additional discounts actually to low-income communities to ensure that their water needs do not strain their limited resources. So we have a flagship program for this, the Tubig para sa Barangay, which is a subsidized effort to provide water service connection to approximately 1.8 million Filipinos in low-income communities within Metro Manila's East Zone. And complementing this, there's also the Manila Water Foundation, which is the social development arm of Manila Water. They have the LINGA program, which improves water supply and sanitation facilities in public service institutions like schools, hospitals, jails, markets, orphanages. And for last year, 2024, they have actually reached approximately 418,436 individuals. And further to our social benefits, we have actually had a new program or an expansion of our lifetime beneficiary coverage, which included all members of the 4Ps, whose consumption does not exceed 20 cubic meters per month, effective January 1 of this year. So we have provided 60% discount on the first 10 cubic meters and 40% on the second for the 10 cubic meters, translating to about 200 peso discount. So the protection of the environment is core to what we actually also espouse, and this is integral to our operations. We are very much guided by our environmental policy and committed to sustainable practices that minimize our environmental impact and promote the efficient use of the Earth's natural resources. So beyond providing water, we ensure that we're able to also manage our wastewater before it goes back to discharge into water bodies. And our annual target is to achieve 100% wastewater coverage through a combination of sewer systems and sanitation services. And this would include septic tank dislodging in unsewered areas. So for our community stewardship, our efforts do not stop with just the rollout of infrastructure. So we advocate for water stewardship to communities through information and education campaigns. Public engagement and advocacy play a pivotal role in the success of Manila Water's programs and initiatives. So there are several initiatives like the Lakbayan program, which immerses participants in the water cycle journey. There's also the Toka Toka, the first advocacy campaign focused on proper wastewater management, where we empower individuals and communities to take meaningful action. And then anchoring on the success of the Lakbayan, we also partnered with DepEd for the Salin Lakbayan para sa mga guro program, wherein the participants are public school teachers. And since its inception in 2023, there were about 59 schools already that participated in it. And so for all that we do, the integrated wash program that we're doing combines clean water access, sanitation facilities, and hygiene education to create holistic solutions for community well-being. And there's also the Linga program, where we are able to enhance public institutions, Agapay program, which delivers immediate support to disaster-stricken areas, And also, definitely watershed management is something that we really focus on prioritizing as well to ensure that we're protecting, rehabilitating, and conserving watershed areas. And this mitigation for climate change is actually done in partnership with national government like DNR, MWSS, and other agencies, because we want to make sustainability real, and that with this, we can always say that it is actually integrated as well in all that we do in Manila Water, as we are actually guided by the 4 pillars of sustainability, wherein all our projects are latched on to all these 4 pillars: water security, environmental stewardship, service accessibility, and service continuity. Sorry, I think the slide did not move, please. And then, so other than that, what does sustainability look like in practice? So in Manila Water, it begins with clear, measurable targets and the discipline to deliver on them. And with this, we're able to really ensure that we hit our goals. And one of it is also to reduce on emissions and energy usage by 60% through renewable energy and wastewater treatment. As of 2024, we're already at 44.38%, which is a significant leap from 36% 2 years ago. We are also set to reforest 1,000 hectares of watershed areas and plant 580,000 trees by 2025. And as of 2024, we've already reforested 975 hectares and planted over 442,000 trees. So we're very close to the target. And now, we're very proud that we have earned our first A listing in CDP for water. This is a historic milestone, making Manila Water the first Philippine company to achieve this top rating. So this is a significant improvement from last year's A-, which reflects MWC's strong performance in setting strategic goals, implementing effective initiatives, and maintaining transparent disclosure practices. So there are about 22,700 companies scored by CDP. And this recognition of gaining that A underscores Manila Water's ongoing leadership in water security. And so, because the timer's up, these achievements reflect more than just progress. They reflect a working model of what sustainability truly looks like when targets are met with action, and commitments are actually matched by results. So one key reason for our sustained progress, as mentioned, is really the collaborative partnership that we have with MWSS, our regulators, our government partners, and all of you who are also our stakeholders. And this concession agreement that we have has enabled long-term planning, transparent tariff mechanisms, through rate rebasing and alignment between public service goals and private sector capabilities. We recognize the pivotal role that LGUs play in bridging the gap between service providers like us and the communities that we aim to uplift. Manila Water is committed to walking this journey with all of you, and we are very confident that together we can deliver the impact that our communities deserve. So thank you, and we look forward to continuing this meaningful dialogue towards equitable water access for all.
Thank you, Kay, for the presentation. Yeah, I can attest to the fact that very early on, Manila Water was always a leader in ESG reporting among all companies in the Philippines, and was always first in the pack to complete its ESG reporting, and ESG at the highest level, by the way. It was always extremely high level. But there's one thing that really stood out in your presentation, Kay, is that you're saying 97% of our supply comes from one source. And I think that's something that we all need to be mindful of, because I mean, that's literally putting all the eggs in one basket. And if something happened, we'd be in real deep trouble. But I'm hoping over the panel discussion, you can tell us what some of the potential solutions might be with your buffer supply. But thanks, Kay, for the presentation. For our last speaker, we're going to have Elvin Ivan Uy, Executive Director of Philippine Business for Social Progress, or PBSP. PBSP is the nation's leading business-led NGO driving sustainable development, and has been around, I think, also one of the longest running NGOs in the Philippines, and was based on a very simple but brilliant plan of corporate members setting aside 1% of net income before tax and placing that at the disposal of the foundation, or at least invested in corporate social responsibility projects. And over time, PBSP has become one of the largest institutions in this field, touching on a wide range of work from education to health to water, and some really, really great projects. Elvin brings to PBSP some, I think, really great experience and youthful energy, I must say, to PBSP. So he's had experience in telecom, steel, and public service, including having served as an assistant secretary for education under Brother Armin, if I'm not mistaken. So that was his introduction into the world of public service. He's still in public service, but now, of course, with PBSP. He is an award-winning Carnegie Mellon graduate and a top engineering board passer. And so he has technical and policy expertise for sustainability challenges. Today, he's going to present the role of Philippine Business for Social Progress in sustainable water solutions. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Elvin Ivan Uy. Elvin?
I was told, because I'm specifically invited because Matt Damon couldn't make it. If you disagree, I'm only the messenger, okay? For the next 15 minutes, and there's a timer, I'll talk about Water Alliance and PBSP. I think I made some changes to the slides, but it's okay, we'll use the old slides. So PBSP was founded December 16, 1970. At that time, 50 sa pinakamahalagang leader ng pribadong sektor nagtipon-tipon sa syudad ng Maynila para pag-usapan ano bang pwedeng gawin ng pribadong sektor upang makatulong sa pagsugpo ng kahirapan. And their solution was, let's form a non-stock, non-profit corporation. 3 months later, March 1971, not as an industry association, not as a lobby group, but specifically to address poverty by collecting 20% of 1% of net income before taxes from the 50 founding members, including the likes of Wash Sisip, Ambassador Benny Tan, Howard D., the Sorianos, the Aboitises, so on and so forth. Practically everyone except the Ayalas, who already had the Filipinas Foundation in the 1960s. So that was our founding mission and founding ethos. Fast forward 54, 55 years later, that is still PBSP. Our mission and our work is still bridging private sector, for-profit private sector, into the work of community and social development. But now, we do so through the collective resources, not just of the domestic and multinational private sector operating in the Philippines, but also of international development partners. We say we're the largest because every year, we manage hundreds of grants, corporate and international development, about $50 to $70 million annually. The dollar value mainly from international development donors. Fortunately for us, not USAID. And I can touch on that later on. Now, I'm here not so much to talk about Water Alliance, PBSP, but to talk about Water Alliance. Water Alliance actually traces its founding also from an international development program. And I'll touch on that a bit. Let me first state, but this was touched on by the earlier speakers, how water stressed the Philippines is relative to at least the rest of the region. So on the left-hand side, for those of you online, left chart or left image, you'll see that for the Philippines, per capita, that's 4,491 cubic meters. Parang ang dami nun, di ba? Ako, I live by myself. I consume about 2 to 3 cubic meters per month. Your mileage may vary depending on how much, maybe this summer, you take a little more shower each time. But even the next most water scarce country, that's Thailand, is about 45% higher than Philippines. Never mind countries like Cambodia, Burma, or Myanmar, with significantly much more freshwater sources. And the 4,491 is per capita, meaning total cubic meters over total population. It does not take into account regional and social inequities. Alam natin to. At kung nandito kayo, malamang alam nyo to at naniniwala kayo dito. Hindi pantay-pantay ang inequity. At hindi rin pantay-pantay ang kakayahan ng iba't ibang tao at komunidad na mag-manage ng inequity. The poor pay disproportionately more and much more expensive, much higher rates for their water compared to you and I, unfortunately, whether you're in the East or West zones. So that's part of why Water Alliance and a concerted private-public action on water security, water supply is so essential. About 12.4 million Filipinos rely on unsafe water sources. We're not even highlighting what water.org has been trying to combat for decades now, about really moving people into proper hygiene, which is such a major determinant of good health. Good health. Now, this is Water Alliance, which traced our founding in 2015. Back when Bill and I were still serving government. I was with the, Bill was with the National Competitiveness Council. In 2015, there was a USAID, the agency formerly known as USAID. Parang Prince lang, no? The artist formerly known as Prince. There was a Be Secure project. It was a project meant to address water security challenges and opportunities in the country. And part of their deliverable was, can they mobilize the private sector? So it's not just government or international aid that's addressing water. So PBSP raised its hand, it said, yes, let's do that. And we formed the Water Alliance. And the Water Alliance was meant to be a consortium, a coalition of for-profit corporations, NGOs, and community-based organizations, and academia. Again, to look at different areas and facets of water security. Both the problems, but more importantly, the solutions. And since 2015, the Water Alliance has organized its work through these 4 work streams or clusters. So the first one is Water for Waterless. Again, about more than 40% of our municipalities have barangays which are considered waterless, meaning less than half of their population have access to safe water. So these are your typical corporate-funded potable water system projects that benefit minimum 30 to 50 households at a time. Usually level 2 sources lamang, communal sources rather than actual household level water supply. And then that is shared by Coca-Cola. So Attorney Tanyada is very much familiar with this one. We did not time it this way. I did not know that he was invited. I'm sure he was also invited because Matt Damon isn't here. Water footprint reduction. This one, surprisingly, was quite new in 2015. So this is, ang water footprint reduction mabilis lang. Gaano kataas ang konsumo ng tubig ng isang organisasyon, pribado man o hindi, at paano natin papababain. Yun lang yun. That's water demand management, water footprint reduction. When we introduce, or when Be Secure and Water Alliance introduced this in 2015, it was quite brand new, even for multinational corporations operating in the Philippines. We don't claim any credit, but one of our first cohort attendees for our water footprint reduction is San Miguel Corporation. And if you've been following the developments of San Miguel, they are well ahead of their targets to reduce their water footprint without reducing the amount of water in their beer or food items. Bawal eh. Kasi sabi nga nila, ang joke nila, pwede nilang dayain na bawasan lang kaya nila yung tubig ng beer nila, and then they hit their targets early on. You cannot do that. So they found other ways to do it. Ayala Malls, not because Bill and Kay are here, but Ayala Malls, for example, kung na-frustrate kayo kasi yung gripo niya sobrang irritated, wala na halos, parang hindi ka na nababasa. Yun. That's water demand management. Sorry, it's my pain point with Ayala Malls. I have friends there. I tell them in person naman. Third one is water governance and policy reform. This one is led by former MWSS chairperson Ramon or Don D. Alikpala. If you want to pretend that you're close to Don D, you call him Don D. If you call him Ramon, he knows you don't know him personally. Great guy, been fighting for a Department of Water and a Water Regulatory Commission for at least a decade and a half. When some of you were still in grade 6, apparently. And lastly, water research and database. This is really tapping academia and other research institutions to grow the knowledge base on water security, water solutions, even water governance. So just quickly, some of you might also know this. If you don't, this was released pre-pandemic 2019, the Philippine Water Sanitation, Water Supply and Sanitation Master Plan, PWSSMP. The unfortunately no vowel acronym, no? And this is a 1.3 trillion master plan. 1.3 trillion peso master plan. If you ask government, after 6 years or 5 GAAs, 2020 to 2025, 6 GAAs, magkano na dun sa 1.3 trillion ang napondohan? The answer, I think, is less than half. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We won't go into the politics of it. But this is just to say that as a costed plan, this is fantastic. A lot of master plans are just really aspirations or prayers. Having costing is nice, because it tells people what exactly the solutions are and how we might get there from a financial standpoint. But government has not delivered on its own master plan. Yes, the pandemic gave everyone an out, a 2 to 3 year out, but it's no longer pandemic. It's a 29 trillion economy, 28 trillion at the end of this year. It's a 6.32 trillion General Appropriations Act for 2025. That's staggering amount, a lot of unfunded priorities, water, sanitation, hygiene are unfortunately still those unfunded priorities. There's a newer one by DNR, the Integrated Water Resources Management Plan, led by Secretary Tony Yuda Loizaga and Undersecretary CP David. And we're also helping them in terms of fulfilling some of the key priorities of that management plan. If you have not read it, these are hundreds and hundreds of pages. Use Notebook LM in Google, make it a 2-person podcast. Just, you don't work smarter for all of us, because the problems are so difficult. We have to be smarter than the problem. And that's how we use generative AI and other tools so that we can get ahead of the problems, because we are trying to catch up on decades of deficits. Decades, 5 minutes. Best practices and accomplishments. So for the Water for Waterless cluster, just a sampling of some of the projects that have been done so far, nearly 160 water system projects as of last year, the number of communities, families that we have assisted. The one thing that I say, if you're not in the community organizing space, I know Arvin is. What we do when, this is not just PBSP, this is a lot of NGOs doing water access work. Before we even start the water system project, we organize what we call a BAWASA, a Barangay Water Association. Kasi ano siya ito yung ayaw mo na magkaroon ng tragedy of the commons. Yun. Yung mga AIM, MDM student dito, you can drink, no? Whenever the speaker says tragedy of the commons. That's what we're trying to prevent. We can cover the initial capital expenditures for a water system project, level 2 lang, but how it is maintained and grown is beyond the usual scope of a donor. So we need the community to have real ownership of the system. And there's one real fantastic story in Misamis Oriental where from the level 2 system that was given to them, in less than 2 years' time, they made it level 3. Through tariffs, not the tariffs that we hate now, but the tarification of water, meaning people actually pay for the service. Kasi may presyo naman talaga eh, hindi siya zero. Hindi siya zero. And then this one, the results that we wanted to see, reduction of incidence of waterborne diseases, 23.6% of underage 5 children are stunted. That's slightly down from 26.7%. Still too high compared to Vietnam, Bangladesh, Peru, and other similar middle-income countries like the Philippines. Some of you might also know this from our experience for waterless households. It's the school-age girl that fetches water. So hindi rin pantay-pantay, no? May gender dimension din ang social impact ng waterlessness. So sa experience namin, yung babaeng nag-aaral, elementary kadalasan, ang naapektuhan. Kasi siya ang nautusang mag-igib, magdala ng tubig sa kanilang mga bahay. Other thing we wanted to share, this was by Dow Chemical, DOW, Dow Chem or Dow Philippines. It was a mobile water filtration system that has been going the rounds for the last several years. Last we heard, it was turned over just before lockdowns to Zamboanga City. We heard it was used for some of the communities where logistics was severely disrupted during the pandemic. But we don't know whether it's still being used 5 years later. Hopefully it is, or it died a peaceful death, no, the system. This one, not just because Coke is here, we're very excited. So USEC, CP David, and the Water Resource Management Office, they identified 63 island barangays, 63, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, that have no access to safe water. They're surrounded by seawater, and then that's it. That's it. They don't get enough rain as well. Even if they do rainfall or rainwater harvesting, it's not enough. And this is like Bantayan Island, where they have to import water from Cebu City. It's so expensive. It's so expensive because you're paying for everything else but the water. You're paying for labor, you're paying for fuel. So we are piloting a program with Coca-Cola in Tingloy, Batangas to see if this one model can serve 62 other barangays. It is a micro or a mobile water desalination. Again, hindi to dole out kasi bahagi ng mobile water desalination. We're putting up essentially a water supply or a water refilling station business. It has to be a sustainable cash flow operation so that they can maintain it and they can also do additional capital investments as needed to grow and nurture that system. I'll quickly breeze through because I think I have 90 seconds left or less. WDM, the number of individuals that have gone through this, the number of organizations. It started with for-profit corporations, but we have expanded to include academia, CSOs. Nakakatakot, di ba? The NWRB participant namin, they were not as used to it yet. And other industries. And if any of you are interested, please approach me, please approach my more dashing colleague, Waki Moreno. We can give you more information about water demand management or water footprint reduction as a managed or an offered service to your respective organizations. And then lastly, this one is so we collated different water researches and information. That database is hosted by the Oscar M. Lopez Center. They have since pivoted to climate change, and they're led by Dr. Lasco, who unfortunately for him, I think he's more famous for now being the father of Gideon Lasco. But Dr. Lasco is the foremost climate scientist of the Philippines. Diba laging merong intergovernment panel on climate change na study every several years. Dr. Lasco is literally the person writing the Philippine report based on that global report. But he's more famous for being the father of Gideon. But go to this website, waterresearch.omlopezcenter.org. You can log in. Their CAPTCHA is super stringent. I've tried to do it. I've tried to prove I'm not a robot 6 times. I still can't enter. It's safer than your bank accounts. But once you get in, you'll see some of the data from LaSalle, from Ateneo, from UP, for some of the projects that we were able to implement a few years ago. Let me just end by saying the country was supposed to graduate to upper middle income status by the end of the year. The tariffs will delay that by at least a year. So we're looking at 2027. But even despite all of the relative level of development and wealth that we have accrued over the past decade and a half, we are still punching below our weight class as a country. We have a learning crisis, we have a stunting and nutrition crisis, we have a social protection crisis, we also have a crisis in water. And as I learned also, my first time to interact with Bill was in NAMFREL. NAMFREL and the late Joe Con would always say, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. I think for us in water, not just lighting a candle, but finding real solutions, sticking to it until we actually solve the problem. Maraming salamat. I look forward to the Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvin, for the presentation and for the background on Water Alliance. Notwithstanding the expiration or the pulling out of the USAID support, we're hoping that Water Alliance continues its work because it's obviously so sorely needed across the country, looking at all the numbers we've seen here today. So at this stage, let me invite all our speakers to join me up front here for the panel discussion. Let me invite Jorens Tanyada to join me here, Kay Solera, Arvin, and Elvin. Why don't you be in the center here? No, you be in the center, Kay. Okay, thank you. Do we have enough microphones here? Okay. First of all, my thanks to all the speakers for your presentation. And this is always the fun part of the Livable Cities Lab, the panel discussion. And the way the panel discussion works is that we allow questions to be asked here live on site at the Aboitiz Tech Space in AIM. And we're also taking questions on Zoom, and they're being forwarded to me. But let me start with a question from the floor here at the Aboitiz Tech Space. Anybody would like to ask the first question? I see. Okay, please go ahead. Microphone right behind you.
Hi, good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Alma Uralgo. I used to work with Coca-Cola. I'm just here as a citizen right now, but representing our barangay San Lorenzo. My question really is something that's always been on my mind each time, every year, there's a very hot summer that we're all biting our teeth because bumabaksak yung water level ng Angat Dam up to some beyond the normal, then it begins to creep down. And I'm sure that a lot of citizens are saying, up to what limit does it hit before we begin to really have water scarcity? How close have we reached that level na talagang mawawala na yung tubig? And what are the buffers that the different, what Manila Water is doing or everyone is doing to ensure na, I'm sure may mga backup plans yan, di ba? And I know that you're coming up with a second dam somewhere. I forget the name, but yun lang. I mean, that feeling, people are always asking, where's the limit, no? Where's the danger? And what protection backup plans do we have? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Great question. Kay, you want to start?
Yes, thank you, sir, for that question. So as I've mentioned earlier, 97% of the water in Metro Manila and Rizal and the other concessionaires source is really the Angat Dam. You're correct in that. However, we also have the 4 water system master plan that has already been in place during our development of the service improvement plan of the concessionaires. And this consists of 4 water systems. So the first one, the Angat La Mesa, it's still included. So that's considered as operational at this point. Then we also have the Laguna Lake Water System or the Cardona Water Treatment Plant, where 100 MLD water is also provided. And there's also the East Bay water source. And the phase 1 of it is actually completed at 50 MLD. However, there's also an ongoing construction of further 200 MLD for phase 2 of the East Bay. So this is from the Laguna Lake. And then there's also the Antipolo water system, which there's the Wawa, where there's ongoing construction of the 438 MLD, and also the Kalawis, which also is part of the Antipolo water system. This is already operational at 80 MLD. Then further, we also have the East Sources water system, the Kaliwa. This is the one that's still, this is a project of government, and they're still on the process of it. And expected to be done is a 300 MLD water source. And for future projects, there are also other long-term e-source in the pipeline, which is also expected to cover at least 1,900 MLD. So the concession, if you're aware of it, it extends until 2047. So the franchise provided to the concessionaires is until 2047. And when we do our demand planning, which we hire consultants for that, and it's also been audited properly by the regulatory office of MWSS, and it passes through the board. All of these were projected to at least cover those periods. And this is done on an every 5-year basis. So the service improvement plan goes through recalibration and recheck every 5 years. So we always check again whether the demands are as expected as the assumptions that were provided. And so there are, it needs to again, we need to again provide further water sources that can also again be part of the plan. I hope that answered your question, sir.
Okay, just for the benefit of those who are not too technical here, MLD stands for what? Million liters a day?
Milliliters per day.
Okay, million,
Yes.
that's the volume of,
I'm also learning.
volume of water, million liters per day.
Million liters per day.
Okay,
Yes.
is that correct? Okay. Now I remember there was a time a few years ago where we really had a shortage. It's in recent memory. Do you remember what year that was? Because I think we were in a drought period,
Yes.
and the levels dropped off very sharply.
It happened in 2019.
2019. Okay, so that's quite recent, actually. That's just before COVID.
Yes.
Yeah, we might have forgotten because of COVID, but right before COVID, I remember we were discussing it at PDRF because actually at Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, both Coke and Manila Water are partners, so we track the water situation. Other questions? Yes, please. I see one back there. Go ahead. Go ahead. Can you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. I'm Dennis Orsino from Porticare. Regarding about wastewater management, how about I seldom see toilets like this in Japan, for example. It's both a toilet and on the top part is a sink. So every time you're going to wash your hand, the wastewater will go to the water tank, and that's the that's the water you're going to flush. For example, it's also good, for example, if you're going to clean your hands using Safeguard or any scented soap, the wastewater will go to the water tank, and when you flush it, the toilet smells good, for example. So if we're going to implement this kind of in our household, this might reduce water usage, because why would we going to flush our toilet using clean water? Why not use wastewater? So there's a possibility that we could reduce water consumption. So this is very effective in Japan. So there are many designs, but every time I go to hardwares, I don't see this kind of water closet. So it's very good. I think it's better if we could promote it, so that every household, even restaurants and malls, is very efficient. I like this. But that's all.
Thank you. That's a great question, and that's a very Japanese design. Anybody would like to tackle that?
Thank you for the question. I first encountered that type of sink and faucet in Australia, in Melbourne and different parts. It's how do I say it? There is a change management cost, and I think that's why a lot of, let's say, property developers have not necessarily adopted the solution. There's also a behavioral change component. Like literally, I went to a restaurant. I think this is somewhere in Makati. Same thing. They have the same setup because it's such a small, maybe 2 square meters lang yung toilet niya. So pinagkasya niya talaga, but it's such an unpleasant experience. As in literal, kasi masikip na siya. Tapos, I'm for it, by the way. I'm for it. But what I'm trying to get at is, I think in any innovation, usually it's really the convergence of 3 things. It's the convergence of public policy, it's the convergence of business models, and it's also the convergence of technology. So the technology exists. Government probably does not need to incentivize the right kind of design for a toilet. Now the question is there, if the business model is also a neutral, can we at least convince buyers, the demand side or the supply side to shift? So I suspect the people who can make those decisions have looked into it and just said it's not a game changer for them from a demand or supply standpoint, maybe. But maybe just more education, better iterations would be key for such solutions, maybe.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please.
I can supplement by one of our projects, not particularly that model, but it's related to the rainwater harvesting design, wherein we have this project in Samar that the disaster resilient toilet. There's a component wherein there's a rainwater collection, then it's connected to the toilet bowl, and then that serves as the water source.
Thank you.
Can I add more? One more.
Okay, a quick question, and then I'm going to go to the Zoom question. Okay, go ahead.
The good thing about this water closet with the sink, usually after we use, we get out of the room, then we wash our hands in the sink. But unlike this, imagine every toilet, every room, there's a water closet with a sink. So that's very effective. That's all. Thank you.
It's a very Japanese design. Thank you. Arvin, there's a question for water.org here, coming from a Zoom participant. How does water.org evaluate and monitor the impact of its projects on its partner communities? What are examples of successful projects?
So we have key performance metrics. One is on the number of people reached. I've mentioned earlier that we are using philanthropic funds to help our partner financial institutions to set up their wash loans. So in return, what we get from them are reports on the number of of loans disbursed, how much are those loans, and how many people or families have they reached. So we call a water portal wherein data are collected, and we also do household monitoring. We are contracting third-party verifiers to also do that so that the reports coming from our partners are verified.
Okay, thanks. Jorenz, there's a question about your replenishment levels. Okay, you said it's over 100% system-wide, the replenishment level. So could you tell us how is that measured and how is that achieved? And there's actually a specific question here about your Iloilo Coca-Cola bottling plant. How is it doing in its replenishment program? I guess you measured this plant by plant or system-wide?
So thanks, Bill. Actually, we measured system-wide. Not at liberty really to discuss the specifics per plant, but are we allowed to talk about the figure in public or no? Yeah, the broad. So I have to ask. So we saved around 11 million cubic meters of water. And the way that's measured is per liter of beverage that we produce, how much of the water that we use is actually returned to the environment, to the natural environment. No? Your question basically was how do we measure that? That's how we measure it per liter of beverage produced. How do we measure replenishment? So we take that into consideration. We measure the water that goes back after we process it through our, it's not even the fair word, wastewater processing or treatment. And then we also measure what we contribute and bring back to the communities by way of infrastructure. We have like a micro infrastructure projects. I think it was mentioned earlier about the Coca-Cola Foundation. One of the things we do is actually implement the ramp pump program. The ramp pump program is one of the major projects that we're most proud of. No? Basically, upland communities where they do not have access to municipal water are provided with a community waterworks of sorts. So basically, it utilizes gravity to bring water upland. I know it's a little bit counterintuitive, but we measure our contributions through that. We also measure our contributions via also some donations that we do when we have disasters like earthquakes, fires, volcanic eruptions, and the like. So that's how that figure of over 100% came out. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thanks. There was a question, an example, I think, given by Elvin on desalination. No? And so the question came up on the Zoom. So we're a country surrounded by seawater. So is it viable to use that as a source? Is that can we desalinate that volume?
Yes. So I'm not that kind of an engineer. I'm there is one who can answer it in the room. But what I can tell you, desalination per cubic meter or per milliliter, it's more expensive. So it's expensive to remove salt from salt water. It's expensive from a process standpoint. It's expensive from an energy standpoint. What we're trying to do in Tingloy, Batangas, for example, that's largely solar powered, might have a diesel backup, but diesel is very expensive in those island barangays. But you probably need that for emergencies. That one, we need to, and we are proving the business case that over, let's say, the useful life of the system, it will be much cheaper for everyone compared to what they are already doing now, meaning importing water from nearby municipalities or cities. So it's a social cost benefit analysis exercise. So there are certain contexts, certain communities where the math makes sense. But overall, it's not a solution for scale. Australia, for example, I say Australia because I spent a year there for my master's. They rely on desalination a lot because Australia is largely uninhabitable and they don't really have a lot of freshwater sources. They also don't get a lot of precipitation. So for them, they have to invest in desalination. And the scale makes the per capita, per milliliter cost more bearable. For us, while we are water stressed, depending on where you are in the country, there are good sources of water where you can do it cheaply. In fact, the problem for Manila is our pipe water is too cheap. That's why I grew up in the 80s and 90s, late 80s and 90s, where I experienced waterlessness when, especially in our case, combined with frequent brownouts. We were only at the second floor, but without power, there's not enough water pressure to deliver water to our homes. So we had to rely on the fire trucks to deliver water for us. So we grew up valuing water. But for the younger ones, maybe they don't. For those with pipe water in urban communities, that's probably taken for granted.
Elvin, you bring up a great point. I was just saying that all the fantastic statistics that Kay gave, which is non-revenue water dropping dramatically from, the 60% plus down to 13% plus, all that water saved has been turned around, converted, and served to people. And today we enjoy water 24/7 in most places, at least in Metro Manila area or in the East Zone. So it's easy to take water for granted. But that's why I asked, when was the last period in 2019? Because I do remember we were hitting a drought situation, and power was being cut by both Manila Water and Manila. Both East and West zones were limiting water in the same way that a decade ago or a decade before that, we were limiting electric, power supply, because we had brownouts, so we were rotating the brownouts. So in this case, we were rotating the water shortage at one time, right?
Quickly, Bill. While Metro Manila's collective memory of drought is only until 2019, that's not the collective experience of Filipinos. Is much more recent. Zamboanga City had a drought pre-pandemic. It persisted throughout the pandemic. Cagayan de Oro City, oldest water district in the country, their non-revenue water is at least 50%. Their water district can't solve it. So you have even highly urbanized cities that grapple with what seems to be a basic challenge. So we have all the technologies in place. Maybe the business model isn't as elegant as what we have in Metro Manila. Public policy seems to be okay, but governance is still a mess. You have more than 23 regulatory agencies and different government offices, national, subnational, looking at water. So a lot of these are just really decades of either dysfunction, mismanagement, underinvestment, or just things happening toward entropy. But now, people are trying to address it. Private sector, development sectors, plus government also, national, local. So I think we really have a good chance in the next few years to solve it for the next generations.
Okay, I have a question here. Anyone can answer this. How can a local government unit, how can an LGU effectively address a growing water supply shortage where the current system can only serve 4,000 out of 18,000 households, and existing supply is insufficient to meet the increasing demand? How can an LGU manage their way out of that situation?
The lawyers are very safe.
I'll try to give our experience on that. We work with local government units to champion blended finance, although most of our projects are on sanitation in terms of that design. So we match the amount that they have for water and sanitation with our partners in the microfinance sector or the financial institutions. So in this way, that's why water credit has been successful for 30 years, because it emphasizes ownership by the households. It's a pay it forward system. Why is it loan? Why not just give it? Why just not give it to the household? So we're using financing so that the household would have ownership of the project, and that they will take care of it. It will become more sustainable. In fact, in one conversation I had just early this year, in one local government, provincial government far north, they were excited about this approach because they've been doing a lot of dole out programs or just providing assistance to their what do you call that, to the people that they serve, but they are excited about the sustainable angle that what blended finance can give. So I think.
Okay, thanks.
I'll give the super boring answer. It's a governance problem between the city and the water districts. So for a lot of you, you know that there are 82 provinces, over 1,500 cities and municipalities. Most of those cities are not Metro Manila or highly urbanized. In fact, we have over 500, if I remember the math correctly, more than 600 fourth, fifth, or sixth income class municipalities. So they're not just fourth, fifth, or sixth income class because of the income or financial. Usually the income is a proxy for everything else. Human capacity or technical capacity also isn't there. And for the water districts, same thing. For the water districts, a lot of them were converted into water districts following changes in policy, but the people and systems are quite antiquated. So I don't have an exact answer also on a solution, but that's, I think, where a lot of us need to operate in. I know Manila Water does its part on it. Maynila does its part on it. Several others of us in the private or development communities are also trying. What I think the opportunity is, a lot of us are just doing it very small scale, very piecemeal. If there's success, nice, we include it in our annual report. If there's not, we're silent about it. It's a 1.3 trillion peso problem as of 2019. That price tag has likely just increased because of inflation. We need a more robust, a more at-scale solution rather than the panaka-naka that we have been doing for decades.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm wearing my LGU hat. Coming from an LGU before, I was thinking, first identify, do you have a water source? And if you have, then what's really the concern? Is it financial? Because if you cannot afford to develop how to distribute that, then you need to find ways to have it funded. And then as mentioned by Elvin also, there's a technical aspect of it. So for us in Manila Water, we actually also provide technical assistance. We have been approached several times by various LGUs, and we're able to do that. So we can take a look at what you have or how we can further help your concern. I remember being approached by there's the city of Naga actually that connected with our Manila Water Foundation, and there was a study conducted for them on the non-revenue water management. So we provide certain recommendations, suggestions, solutions for it. So let us know, just in case. Yeah.
Thank you. Jorans?
Okay, so like Kaya, I have to premise by saying I'll wear my former hat, which is that of a regulator. No? So as we all know, when you're a water provider, you're actually operating a public utility. So operating a public utility comes with obligations. So obviously, they evaluate your legal capacity, your technical capacity, your financial capacity. If you are supposed to provide, what was the number? 18,000 households with a water supply. Typically, before that's given to you, you are supposed to submit a plan. and you're supposed to show how long it will take for you to be able to address the 18,000 households. So I think the LGU, in conjunction with the industry regulators, should probably work hand in hand and then measure performance with that particular baseline. And then, if need be, just enforce on what's provided by law. It's very simple at first blush, but really it takes a lot of political will to enforce what you're supposed to do. I hope that wasn't a very simplistic answer.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jorans. Yeah, just to sort of recap, I think what people are saying here is that number one, there's that obligation, of course, that if you're managing a public utility, you're obligated to meet that service level that you signed up for. And if not, then you'd have to explain to the regulator why not. A key component there is to look for the source of water to begin with, because presumably there must have been a source, and then to look for some technical way to efficiently distribute from that source. I guess I'll just circle back to what really happened with Manila Water in the beginning. What did you say? 1997, right? In 1997, one of the things that Manila Water did very early on was, by cutting back on the non-revenue water, they were able to redistribute cut those losses and turn that into a service and lower the cost of water for people. No? At that time, there were people in Metro Manila relying on buying their water on a daily basis. And but finally, when they received piped water, they found out, of course, it was much cheaper and more reliable than buying the bottled water supply. But there was, that was all part of the technical solutions, I think, that Manila Water came up with, and which presumably all utilities should be able to deliver. Okay, I saw a couple of questions from the floor. Wow, now we got so many. Okay, let's start here in this row, then I'll go to Rick. Go ahead, please. No, this guy right here. Sorry, this gentleman first. Yeah, and then Don, do we have one? Okay. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good day. My name is John from IGD. My question is about how to recycle the water. I remember years ago, I have watched in the National Geographic channel that in other parts of the European countries, they have this big machine that all kinds of water waste can be turned into something like a drinking water or water that can be used for washing, for other personal use. So this big machine, although it's very expensive, so I think maybe it's a $1 billion project by their national government. My question is, here in the Philippines, in the near future, do you see that this kind of technology, we can have that here in the Philippines also? So that instead of like building more dams or other projects that where can we get clean water, we can use that machine to might as well to use again the wastewater to convert the waters into clean water again for personal use. Especially, I've watched that even urines coming from humans and animals, they can turn it into a drinking water as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Elvin, you want to take a crack at that?
I'll say something provocative. NCR, Calabarzon, Central Luzon, about 36% of our population, about 2/3 of the economy. If the water crisis was happening largely in those three regions, we would have moved heaven and earth, including technologies from Australia, from North America, from Europe, from China to address it. But because the crisis is more pronounced for geographically isolated disadvantaged areas, for low-income municipalities and households, it does not get the attention neither of the political class nor the electorate. It's a long way of saying, yes, it can be done, but because the math is not mathing, whether it's a political math or a financial math, or even the convergence of those three things. Again, technology, business model, and public policy. Or if you want to, public policy / public interests and public good. But we've seen those three things converge. We've seen those three things converge for water concessionaire agreements in key cities and areas. Maybe there's an opportunity to make sure that's expanded even to low-income communities. We've seen that in the space where I started, in mobile telecommunications. In 1995, before telecommunications was deregulated, only 2 million households and businesses had landlines. 2 million. Took you 1 to 2 years to get a landline because it was a monopoly. By the time I joined the organization or the industry in 2005, number of mobile subscribers ballooned to more than 50 million people. 25x in a decade. And more surprisingly, for the rest of the world, Filipino mobile phone subscribers only spent about $5 per month, average revenue per user, ARPU. But EBITDA margins of the top two telco companies were 60 to 68%. When we go abroad, they ask us, the math doesn't make sense. How can you earn so much from so little? But the answer was public policy, technology, business model found a way to serve even the poorest of the poor. Even the ones that could only sleep below the flyover had a mobile phone and could spend about less than $1 per month. Kasi may load business sila. So that's what the water sector has been aching for decades.
Thank you. We had a question back here in the back row.
I'm John Lizares. This is not a question actually. It's there was a mention before what the local government can do with regards to the shortage of water. In the municipality where my project was in Cebu, the mayor there was the current tourism secretary, Christina Frasco. So they required home builders to have water catchment per individual house. So the plans of the plans of the houses have to go through me as a developer. So I would say that all the houses being presented for building permits had also water catchment. So that doesn't, aside from the water catchment of the subdivision. So about 150 to 200 liters per house, that can do a big help already if the local government will also institute the requirements for the rainwater catchment. Thank you.
That's a great suggestion. I believe it's a part of law, right? Arvin, you were saying?
It's the law is for the government, DPWH to come up with the water catchment, not the private sector
Not
or
the
the
private sector,
individuals.
for LGUs. RA 6716.
I see. Okay.
It was established 1989.
Oh.
I mean, passed into law.
Yeah, Elvin, go ahead.
Ang dami kong comment, no? So I work for DepEd. There are 48,000 public schools nationwide, and then about 10,000 more private schools. When we do potable water system projects, for example, typically what we do, the level 2 source or level 2 system serves both school and households. So the school actually becomes a hub for water. Typically, the water system is housed by the public school. Government spends 2.5 million pesos per classroom. We have a backlog of 165,000 classrooms nationwide. This was from 66,800 at the start of when we were in government By the time we left, we programmed everything, but it ballooned again to 165,000 classrooms. Government will address that backlog sooner rather than later. But it has an opportunity, like what was suggested earlier. You can put toilets with better use of water. You can make sure there's water catchment in those, or rainfall catchment in those classrooms or buildings, and make sure that the school can be a hub or a point source for different households within its vicinity. That's one potential solution.
Thank you. Okay, I see a question here, Rick, and then we'll go back, two more questions back there.
Yes, good afternoon. First of all,
Go,
thank
Rick.
you. Thank you very much, Bill, for inviting me, especially with the forum directly involves consumer. By the way, my name is Rick Samaniego. I founded the Philippine Coalition of Consumer Welfare, and that was before the Apex Summit. Na-invita rin ako magsalita about it. Ang problema po natin talaga ngayon actually is yung electricity, our internet na solve yan. Lahat ng problema ng consumer which concerns all of us. Yung paggising natin sa umaga, tubig, ilaw. But naka-receive ako sa ibang volunteers namin kasi itong namin, yung PCCWI, is a volunteer organization, a self-funded one. Ang laging tinatanong sa amin, yung problemang araw-araw na lang na nakikita sa nararamdaman ng consumer. Sa tubig, halimbawa, tinanong, tungkol sa pinagsaservan nyo ngayon, how really safe it is. No? Halimbawa, yung baso, ito mismo sa gripo, pwede po bang inumin yun? Kasi pagka umiikot ako sa mga volunteers ko, like for instance in Bulacan, which is the most controversial ngayon, may baon ho ako sarili kong, last and everything. Hindi ako makainom kahit sila. Now, doon po sa inyo ba, safety ito, pagka iinumin, halimbawa, directly from the faucet. And I'd like to thank all of you, dahil hindi po alam ng tao na karamihan ng ginagawa nyo, meron din pala CSR aspect. You go to barangay, sinabi nyo Ma'am Kay, and then you bring portable waters, and then expand this 4-piece. And kay Mr. Elvin, yung style Steve Jobs, na nagdadala ng mga, yung tubig para pwedeng mainom. Hindi po rin alam ito Then my second question, hindi ko kasi na-plot kung sino yung mga talagang supplier and players. Kasi bata pa po ako, hindi uso sa amin yung mineral water yung sa Nawasa. I think inabutan ni Bilyan Sa amin noon, basta inom ka lang, tubig. Ngayon talagang lahat halos Pag hindi kayo inom ng mineral water, I felt guilty about it kasi pag pupunta ako sa mga volunteers ko, in areas like Payatas, in areas like in Pandibulacan recently, talagang hirap po sila talaga doon. Parang ang tubig talaga sa kanila halos hirap na hirap sila parang ginto. Samantalang kami, pagbukas namin sa I live in one of the Ayala condominiums. Palakas So, again, two things. One, safe ba talaga yon? Yung pag ininom mo yung tubig sa gripo. Then second, hindi ko kasi tayo sanay na directly competing tayo sa Amerika. Pag pinakita mo, ito yung ganito, ito ginagawa. What we heard from you is just a few companies built. Pero yung isang most controversial, yung halimbawa, yung iba, kung mapipresent kasi kayo talagang no doubt hands-on, talagang we feel safe sa inyo sa mga ginagawa nyo, especially sa Manila Water. Thank you po. Yun lang.
Okay. Safe to drink your water? Right out of the tap?
Okay, so for Manila Water, we are compliant with the Philippine National Standards for Drinking Water po. Ito po yung guidelines or pinakabatas na sinusundan po natin patungkol po sa lahat ng mga particulars ng component po ng tubig. So, highly regulated po kami. So, lagi po itong chine-check on a day-to-day basis ng DOH Kaya meron pong mga tapping points sa all over our concession area kung saan po lagi po silang nagte-test kung safe po. So all those that go through our pipeline system, hanggang dun po sa pinaka-tapping point, safe po talaga yon. Ngayon po yung concern is usually yung sariling reticulation system po kung saan po nanggagaling na yung tubig na usually po like sa bahay or doon po sa particular po na lugar kung saan po yung, kumbaga yung tinatawag na after the meter na po na tubig. Yun po yung possible na kung matagal na po yung pipeline or hindi po siya na-check, baka yun po yung may problema. So hanggang before the meter, masasabi po namin na safe po talaga because day-to-day po ang monitor sa amin ng DOH on it. Pero yun po, sana pwede din mapacheck talaga yung mga after the meter, which is sa kanya-kanyang mga bahay-bahay na po yun.
Thanks, Kay. That's your clarification. I think that's a good point. You know, it's safe. You can guarantee it to a certain point, but once it enters another system of pipes, whether it's in a building or a subdivision or what have you, then you have to check those pipes again. Okay, I saw a question back, way back there. Please go ahead, introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm Paolo Buro. I'm a member of AIM Circularity Club. So actually, previously before, I actually am part of like the Manila Bay Mandamus auditing team. So my mentor was the one who sued the government for cleaning up Manila Bay, and I worked on the auditing systems with the government agencies. In the very few occasions I actually joined the audits for local governments, there was a particular instance that I noticed that we're counting toilets in different provincial municipalities. And I think that was a gap in terms of like management of the wastewater for municipalities. And I was thinking, since there's a current push also for development of the Department of Water, do you think that would align the different stakeholders or the multitude of agencies that will be involved right now? Would that simplify things or will that further complicate things? Given that in government perspective, if two agencies are operating in the same mandate or at least adjacent to the same mandate, nothing much will happen until an external force kind of comes in. What is going to happen, you think, if a new agency comes in and kind of breaks everything up?
Okay, we have a couple of, we have all four people here have served in local government or a regulatory agency. So that is an excellent question. Joren, shall I start with you?
Man. Okay. Sige, this is not a Coca-Cola answer. Just to be clear. A few years, 20 years ago, I don't know if you guys read the book, The Mystery of Capital. Very, I think it was seminal work, not by the proven economist. I forget his name right now. I wanna kick myself, but yes, there you go. Hernando de Soto made his name by writing The Mystery of Capital. Thank you, Bill. I'm younger than you, but you have a better memory. So one of the things he pointed out, strangely, was a case study about the Philippines and how we were one of the most ultra red-taped economies in the entire world. I think the process that he showed to get a municipal permit showed over 125 steps. Then he compared it to a particular first world economy where it took only less than 20. I get where you're coming from. I know that adding another layer, potentially another layer, which would again potentially overlap with the mandate of other government agencies might make things even more complicated than they already are. So in general, my answer would be I would not be in favor of adding another government agency for particular things. But when it comes to water, though, I will deviate and say that it might actually merit the creation of a Department of Water. Water being somewhat different from other industries that we regulate. I would put a caveat though, but by saying that if there were a Department of Water to be created, the mandates of, let's call them competing government agencies should be folded into that particular department. Again, it'll take a lot of political will. A lot of people are not going to be happy with that being done, but it just might work. Again, not a Coke answer, it's just my personal answer. Thank you.
Okay, so I have been with Manila Water since 2019, and since then, the discussion regarding the Department of Water as a new government agency that would really be the agency that will integrate the governance of the sector has always been there since then, and we've always been supportive of it. Actually, we have provided position papers for it that we support it because we see how it is needed in the country. For Metro Manila side, like for our part in Manila Water, we are in a good place actually. We have very strong government partners. So MWSS, our government partner, and then there's the MWSS Regulatory Office that's also doing a very good job in regulating us, make us ensure on our compliance to our service obligations, and keep us on track and even reach our targets when it comes to our key performance indicators and business efficiency measures. However, we believe that outside of the Metro Manila concession, that is not the situation, and that is precisely because there's no regulator really doing that particular role to them. So, like you've mentioned, the Manila Bay Coordinating Office, when it comes to the Supreme Court mandamus, it only covers national agencies here in Metro Manila. And the LGUs are actually not covered by it. And so there's really that gap that exists in terms of really pushing forth the implementation of certain good laws out there, because we have the Clean Water Act, we have several other environmental protection laws. However, when it comes to the implementation of it, I think that's where the gap is, because there really has to be that agency that would really oversee and provide the governance that is much needed, and the attention and even the budget or the focus that's needed to get it going. So for us in Manila Water, we support the coming up with the Department of Water and the Water Risk Regulatory Commission. And I believe it has already been passed in the House of Representatives, but the Senate on the other side has not yet convened for it. So yeah, thank you.
So like any change management, there will always be pros and cons. I attended the latest consultation organized by NEDA and DNR regarding that Department of Water Management. And well, most of the attendees are into it because this will simplify, hopefully, because at present there are more than 30 government agencies who are into different water solutions with respective mandates. And having this a new department would perhaps synchronize all the efforts, and also affecting the private institutions. So that's it. And organizationally, whatever the result would be, we as an organization are into making safe water and sanitation accessible to all through financing. So whatever the result of these changes in the government, we are committed to helping the institutions in terms of the financing gap.
Elvin, your thoughts? You've been on both sides of the fence. So this one,
yes.
you've been on the DepEd side, and now you're in the PBSP side.
The case for a Department of Water and Water Regulatory Commission has to be both. Think of them like Department of Energy and ERC. There are currently 23 agencies with some say in water governance. That's just that's stupid. That's stupid. And we are a lot of things as Filipinos and as Philippines. We are not stupid. We're not stupid. So it's an idea, hopefully, whose time will come, if not this Congress, in the next Congress. DNR has tried to now reorganize things. So there's a Water Regulatory Management Office, a Water Resource Management Office, WRMO, led by Undersecretary Carlos Primo or CP David. That will at least exist until the end of this administration. If that's not codified into law as Department of Water and Water Regulatory Commission, we will go back to the War of the Tribes in 2028 onwards. And sayang. One thing that also a lot of people say about us, we have fantastic plans. We're very good in selling the plans also, but we're not very good with follow through, whether public sector, even sometimes private sector. I think water governance is one of those areas. It took a long time to get to an office in DNR just to make sense of what 23 other agencies were doing. Let me give you a super quick example. USEC CP David advocated for this since last year with private sector. Because water governance was so fragmented, the people governing irrigation were not talking to the people governing or looking into household access. And what they found, a lot of our dams that were built and used primarily just for irrigation could provide water, clean water to households and communities. So that's what they started to do last year. No additional capex, so wala ring SOP, no additional manpower, not so much. You just need to literally open the dam for communities without water. And that has improved water access for some of these underserved communities and households. We can have more of that if there is one accountable agency for water rather than 23.
Okay, on that note, let me just try to recap and maybe inject some hope in this situation. I think what you've heard from the panel today is that there are solutions that can be deployed. And in fact, each of their organizations is implementing some form of solution just at a different scale. But it does go to show you that it is possible with their experience working with different government agencies. And remember, each of them came from a government agency at one time. Elvin came from DepEd, Arvin came from DSWD, Kay was a vice governor, and Jores was a regulator, I think for customs, right? So they've had the experience of working both sides and they know what it's like to manage and not navigate in that culture. But I think it tells us that there are solutions available and we do need to just see clearly how to get to the end and arrive at that solution. I think the key here is what Elvin mentioned earlier, which is this is also a governance issue, okay? And it's a governance issue on many fronts, but you know, I was going to ask each of them, but I thought it's unfair. With the Sustainable Development Goal, number 6, water, the goal is access for all by 2030. And remember, we're only at 50% access today. And I don't think it's fair to ask the panel, do they think that we're going to hit the target by 2030? I think it's more fair to ask everyone in the room and on Zoom, are we going to hit the target in 2030, but how do we hit the target in 2030? That responsibility falls on all of us. we happen to be in the 50% with access to water. So just think of the other 50% out there who don't have access, that I think it is our responsibility to also help them get access. And we should exercise a responsibility in many ways, from a governance point of view, from the people we elect, the people we hold accountable, the corporations, the institutions, the structures. I think that's important for all of us to also focus on. And water is not the only problem that the country is facing. We face a similar problem for nutrition. We face a similar problem for sustainability. Almost across all SDGs, we have a similar problem. So it's our responsibility, because I don't think we can always ask some outside institution to solve that problem for us. I think it is up to us now to come to grips with the situation and help provide that solution. And this is really what Livable Cities Labs are all about, helping each other find a solution to make a better country, to make better cities, to make better LGUs, to make better communities. So I want to thank you all for spending the afternoon with us. I want to thank our panelists for their presentations and their questions, their answers to the questions. Thank you to Elvin, Arvin, Kay, and Jorans. Thanks to all of you in the audience for staying with us, and we look forward to seeing you at future Livable Cities Labs. But most of all, we look forward to having you provide solutions to the many problems we face across the country. So thank you. And do we have a few more announcements? None? Okay.
Take photo before you. Thank you.
Reverse, okay, please stand here and everyone stands up in the room.
Can I request everyone to please stand up and just move to the center for a quick photo op? Let us compress to the center for one quick photo op. Thank you very much. There we have it. That concludes our event this afternoon. Once again, we would like to thank our speakers, Mr. Alvin Longcop, Attorney Juan Lorenzo Tanyada, Attorney Kay Salera, and Mr. Alvin Uy. We also wish to thank our partners, Globe Telecom, the League of Cities of Philippines, and Coca-Cola Philippines for their invaluable support. To our participants joining here on site, we invite you to join us for snacks at the Bistro Restaurant at the AIM Conference Center, which is located on the 5th floor of the building next to us. Ushers will be stationed outside to assist and guide our speakers and participants. Lastly, kindly complete the feedback form on your screen or scan the QR code flashed now. Your input helps us improve our future sessions, and you'll also receive a certificate of participation. Thank you all once again for your participation. Stay safe.
I think
There are ushers outside. Once again, we have our ushers outside who will be assisting all of you for snacks at Bistro Restaurant in the building next to us. Thank you. Once again, we would like to invite everyone for snacks at Bistro Restaurant, 5th floor. The building next to us, ushers will be assisting you outside. We may continue our networking activities there. Again, Bistro Restaurant, 5th floor.
Yes, yes, I remember. I remember.
Again, we're inviting everyone. Snacks will be served at the Bistro Restaurant, 5th floor in the next building. 5th floor, sir. Usher, may usher. 5th floor at the AIM Conference Center. Our ushers will be assisting you outside. Thank you. Once again, we're inviting everyone. Snacks will be served at Bistro Restaurant, 5th floor, AIM Conference Center. Let us all move now and continue our